All right, so get this. We're diving into Chanakya Neeti today.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you, when I first cracked this thing open, I was kind of floored
Yeah.
by how, like, poetic it is, but then also, like, straight up about human nature, you know?
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
Chanakya Neeti, it really does cover a lot of ground,
It is, yeah.
doesn't it? There's like personal stuff, virtues, vices, then leadership, family, politics even.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a guidebook for life.
And it's, what, like over 2,000 years old?
That's right, yeah.
That's crazy. And all from this one dude, Chanakya.
Right, this,
Teacher, philosopher.
like advisor to kings, you know?
Yeah, he was a big deal back then.
He was a big deal. I mean, he helped start this massive empire.
Oh, yeah, the Mauryan Empire.
Yeah.
One of the biggest in Indian history.
Exactly.
So basically, we're getting advice from, like, the ancient Indian equivalent of, I don't know, a rock star.
Yeah.
Like a superstar.
Definitely a superstar, yeah.
Okay, so with Chanakya Neeti, one thing that I was really drawn to was how he talks about happiness.
Yeah.
Like, how do we find it when the world's always changing?
Yeah, it's a big question. Well, right away, Chanakya Neeti gets into it with
Right.
this really cool analogy about love.
Oh, yeah, the black bee and the lotus flower thing, right?
That's the one, yeah.
I gotta be honest, when I first saw that, I was like, huh, where's he going with this?
It's kind of out there, isn't it? But think about it. A black bee, like, it like bore through wood.
Yeah.
right? But then it gets trapped
Yeah.
willingly in this, like, soft lotus flower.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's showing how love, even for, like, the toughest dude, can make you surrender.
So is he saying love is the key to happiness then?
Well, he doesn't stop there,
Okay.
right? He goes on to talk about divine love.
Okay.
And he actually says it's not in statues
Oh, wow.
or rituals.
So not the usual religious stuff.
Not really, no. He says it's in our feelings and our thoughts. He even compares studying the Vedas without devotion,
Like the sacred text.
yeah, to doing rituals without, like, actually giving anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's about internal change,
Yeah.
not just the outward actions.
So it's about the intention, like really connecting however you see the divine.
That's it, yeah,
That's deep, man.
it is.
But then in a world where everything's changing, right? Relationships, our bodies,
All of it,
all of it, what do we hold on to?
that's where dharma comes in.
Okay, dharma. That's a word you hear a lot.
You do, yeah.
But what's it actually mean here?
Think righteousness,
Okay.
duty, cosmic order even.
Got it.
It's a big idea. But for Chanakya, this is the steady thing in
Wow.
a changing world. He even says someone who follows their dharma,
Yeah.
they're considered long-lived even after death.
Whoa, so even facing death, dharma's what matters.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Makes you think, huh?
It does, it does. And that leads into another big idea in Chanakya Neeti.
Okay.
Karma?
Oh yeah, what goes around comes around.
Exactly. Every action has a consequence.
He uses that example of, like, a calf finding its mom.
Yes. Among tons of other cows.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong image.
It is. He's saying, just like that calf finds its mom, the results of what we do, they'll find us.
So we have freedom,
Right.
but we also got to own the consequences.
We do. And dharma, that helps us choose wisely, so the consequences are good ones.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And this, about actions and consequences,
Yeah.
leads into what Chanakya says about family
Okay.
and the role of women.
Ooh. Okay, so this is where things might get a little
Yeah,
interesting.
they do.
Yeah.
He's big on the ideal household, virtuous wife, noble son, keeping the family going.
Got it.
But some of his views on women specifically
Yeah.
might raise some eyebrows today.
For sure. It's important to remember, we're just telling you what's in the text here.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily saying we agree with it all.
Good point.
Times have changed. Yeah. You know,
They have.
what flew back then,
Yeah,
well, it's different now.
for sure. But it does make you think about how things change over time.
Yeah.
And what we can learn from that.
For sure. Okay, so we've got dharma, karma,
Right.
some interesting views on family. What about, like, moving up in the world?
Yeah.
Does he think we're stuck where we're born?
Actually, he challenges that with how he talks about a true Brahmin.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not about your family, but what you do, how you live.
So he says a true Brahmin lives simply,
Right.
studies the Vedas, does the rituals.
Yeah, daily rituals. And he compares that to the Brahmin who's busy with, like,
Okay,
worldly stuff.
got it.
It's actions more than family that define you.
Kind of radical, considering the caste system back then, huh?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
He's saying character,
Yeah.
what you do, that's where real worth comes from.
Makes you feel like you have some control, right?
It does.
Like you can shape your own life.
Exactly. And that ties into how he sees education.
Oh, yeah.
He calls it a cow of plenty.
Love that image.
Right. It provides for you,
Yeah.
even when times are tough.
And he gives that example. The scholars who figured out eclipses.
Yeah, without even seeing the sky.
Just using their knowledge.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's amazing, the power of knowledge.
It really is. But getting that knowledge, Chanakya's got some strong opinions on that too.
He does. He does.
Especially for students.
He lays down the law.
Oh yeah, he does. Like, learning comes first.
Yeah.
Above everything else.
Everything. Comfort, distractions.
He even lists out
He does.
8 things students shouldn't do.
8 things. Yeah.
Like sleeping too much,
Sleep, yeah.
focusing on how you look,
Right. Appearances.
entertainment.
No fun allowed.
Intense, man.
It is. But he's got a reason, right?
Okay, what's the reason?
Achieving anything worthwhile
Mm-hmm.
takes serious effort.
Dedication.
It's dedication,
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Pushing yourself.
That's it. It's about focusing on what matters.
Okay, I get it.
Right.
But is all that worth it in the end?
Well, that's where his ideas about good company come in.
Oh, okay.
He makes this link between animals and people.
Huh?
He talks about how, like, fish, tortoises, birds,
Yeah.
they all nurture their young differently.
Mm-hmm.
Fish by sight, tortoises by touch,
Okay.
birds by being there all the time.
Interesting.
So he's saying, just like animals care for their babies,
Yeah.
humans, we need the right people around us
To thrive.
to thrive, exactly. And he says, good company, it doesn't just help you, it helps your family, your
Wow.
whole community even.
Okay, that's powerful.
It is. But then he's also wary of the cunning types.
Oh yeah, those shady characters.
Yeah, he points out the barber, the crow,
The jackal.
the jackal, and even the female gardener.
Interesting mix.
Right. But he's saying, watch out.
Yeah.
Not everyone's on your side.
And it's not always obvious, right?
Exactly. You got to be smart about it.
He also warns about those who act all virtuous,
Oh, the hypocrites.
but are really hiding something.
Yeah, trying to fool everyone, maybe even themselves.
So authenticity, being real, that matters to Chanakya.
It does.
Okay, so be wise, pick your friends carefully,
Right.
stay away from the shady folks. But what about when things get rough? Like really tough challenges?
Well, Chanakya, the master strategist,
Yeah.
he wouldn't leave us hanging, would he?
Okay, so what's he say?
He gives advice on everything.
Yeah.
Marriage, kids, making friends,
Yeah.
even dealing with enemies.
And some of it, like, about manipulating enemies.
Yeah, that part's tricky.
Might not sit well with everyone today.
It might not. We gotta remember, back then, politics were rough.
Oh yeah, it's a different world.
He thought sometimes to beat the bad guys, you gotta bend the rules a bit.
It's a tough question,
And
right?
it is.
When are those tactics okay?
He leaves it open for us to figure out.
Makes you think about that whole ends justify the memes thing.
Yeah. It does. It does. But even then, he's big on recognizing true friends.
Yeah, the ones who are there for you no matter what.
Exactly. He even compares giving to good people
Yeah.
to the cycle of, like, the sea, clouds, rain, resources. They multiply and help everyone when they're with the right people.
Like generosity creates abundance, huh?
That's it. But speaking of people,
Yeah.
what about human nature in general?
Oh, good question. Does Chanakya think we're basically good?
Well, let's just
Yeah.
say he doesn't hold back
All right.
our flaws. He even says, some folks are a burden on the earth.
Okay, now I gotta know who's on that list.
We'll have to dive into that next time.
All right, cliffhanger.
It's going to get interesting.
Can't wait.
So we were talking about how Chanakya doesn't sugarcoat things when it comes to human nature.
Yeah, he keeps it real.
He does. And
Yeah.
remember those folks he called a burden on the earth?
Oh yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
All right, well, he specifically calls out meat eaters,
Okay.
wine takers, and fools.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Before all the meat lovers and wine enthusiasts out there get upset,
Right.
I have a feeling he's talking about more than just like what you eat or drink.
Yeah. It's not about, like, banning burgers and Cabernet.
Okay.
It's more about the whole excess thing.
Okay, so overindulging.
Yeah, like, when you overdo it, you lose self-control,
Mm-hmm.
and that messes up, like, living a good life.
So it's not about never having a glass of wine
Right.
or a steak. It's about being aware
Exactly.
and finding that balance.
Moderation, mindfulness, that's the key.
Makes sense.
And this whole self-awareness thing,
Yeah.
Chanakya, he even talks about his own younger days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and, like, regrets he had, missed chances.
Wow, so even this brilliant strategist, advisor to kings, he had regrets.
It shows we all make mistakes. But what matters is learning from them.
Or growing from those experiences.
Exactly. He's basically telling us, like, be present. Make the most of your time.
Don't waste it.
Don't waste it, yeah. Focus on knowledge, on being good.
Time, yeah, you can't get that back once it's gone.
Nope.
So prioritize what matters.
For sure. But what happens when, life throws a curveball?
Oh, yeah, the unexpected stuff.
Yeah, stuff that messes up your plans.
The tough times.
Well, Chanakya, always the strategist,
Yeah.
he gives advice for that too.
Take a lead on me.
He says, the ones who survive?
Yeah.
They're the ones who escape riots,
Oh.
droughts, bad company even.
So, like, being prepared for threats.
Right. Both outside stuff
Yeah.
and, like, the bad influences in your life.
But not hiding away, right?
No, not at all. It's about understanding challenges happen.
They do.
And being ready to face them.
Head on.
Head on, exactly.
Right.
Remember that analogy, the coal bird?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the one waiting to sing his best song.
That's it. It shows preparation.
Okay.
And timing, they matter.
Don't just react, be smart about it.
Right. Wait for the right moment.
Okay, I like that. But surviving's one thing.
Right.
Thriving's another. How do we go beyond just getting by?
That's the question, right? Especially when the world's so unpredictable.
It is.
Well, Chanakya says one key is real friendship.
Oh, okay, so having your people.
Yeah, the ones who are there for you when it counts.
But how do you know who those true friends are?
That's where being discerning comes in.
Right. Chanakya talks about that a lot.
He does. It's about seeing who truly cares
Mm-hmm.
versus who might be using you.
Choose your friends carefully, basically.
Exactly. But it's not just about taking.
So true.
Right. Chanakya is big on giving back, too,
Yeah.
especially to those who deserve it.
Okay.
He compares it to, like, the sea, clouds, rain.
That's a cool image.
Right. When you give to the right people,
Yeah.
it multiplies, benefits everyone.
So generosity creates abundance.
Exactly. We're all connected. Our actions, they ripple out.
And that goes beyond just our friends, right?
It does. He's talking about responsibility to society, too.
Oh, okay.
Like, we all got to do our part
Yeah.
to make things good and fair.
Be the change, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes being that change means understanding power.
Ooh, okay, power. And Chanakya, he knew a lot about that.
He did, from, like, personal interactions
Yeah.
to dealing with authority figures.
He was advising kings, after all.
He was. So he knew how power can be used and abused.
For sure.
He gives some really interesting advice on navigating that.
Okay.
Be smart, strategic, know when to stand your ground.
But he also talks about being cunning,
Yeah,
even manipulating people.
that part's tricky, right?
It is, yeah, ethically speaking.
We gotta remember, back then, things were different.
Oh, yeah, court intrigue, all that.
Exactly. He thought sometimes to protect yourself, to do good,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta play the game.
Tough call. When's that okay?
Right. It goes back to that ends and means debate.
It does.
Chanakya, he leaves it for us to figure out.
Makes you think.
It does. But one thing's clear. He's a huge believer in education.
Oh, yeah, knowledge is power, right.
He calls it a cow of plenty, remember?
Right. Provides even when times are tough.
Exactly. And that example with the scholars and the eclipses,
So cool.
it shows how powerful knowledge can be. It helps us understand the world.
But for him, it wasn't just facts.
No, it was about wisdom.
Yeah.
Being good, using what you know to help everyone.
Making the world better.
Exactly. And that ties into dharma.
Right. Doing what's right.
It all connects. When we act according to our values, we create a good world.
Like that ripple effect.
Exactly. But Chanakya Neeti, it's not all high-minded stuff.
Okay.
He gets real about our less flattering tendencies, too.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
Spill it.
He talks about how selfish we can be.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
And how that shows up everywhere, from
Yeah.
our relationships to how we function in society.
So, like, we need to be aware of that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't control us.
Exactly. It's not about judging. It's about
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
Everyone, even the best of us, we can be selfish sometimes.
True. So check your motivations.
Right. Make sure you're acting with integrity.
But then how do you balance that with protecting yourself?
When not everyone's playing fair.
That's the tough part.
It is, and that's something Chanakya, he really grapples with throughout the text.
So we were talking about walking that line. you know, between doing the right thing and not getting walked all over.
Right, it's a tricky one. And Chanakya, he really gets into that in Chanakya Neeti.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to, like, point out the bad stuff people do.
Yeah, the not-so-pretty side of human nature.
Exactly. And remember how he talked about some folks being a burden on society?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had a whole list, didn't he?
He did. Meat eaters, wine takers, and fools.
Right, right. But we were saying it's not about, like, judging people for their choices.
No, not at all.
More about, like, what happens when things go too far.
Exactly. Excess. That's the problem.
Okay, but fools. What's he really mean by that?
Well, he's talking about people who, like, lack wisdom.
Okay.
You know, they don't think things through.
Yeah.
They make decisions based on, like, what they want right now, not the long-term consequences.
So it's not just about being smart, it's about being wise.
Exactly. Making choices that benefit everyone, not just yourself.
And Chanakya, he was all about making wise choices.
He was, especially when it came to leadership.
Oh yeah, advisor to kings. He knew a thing or two about that.
He did, and for him, a good leader, it wasn't just about brains or strength.
You need more than that.
Way more. He said you need compassion, too.
Interesting. So, understanding the people you're leading.
Exactly. Caring about them, making decisions that help everyone.
So it's not just about power, it's about using power for good.
That's it. And he believed everyone has the potential to lead.
Oh, okay.
Not just, like, kings and queens.
So, like, within our families, communities, even at work.
Exactly. Taking initiative, inspiring others, making a difference.
And one of the best ways to do that, he says, is through education.
Oh, yeah. The cow of plenty, right.
Right. Provides even in the toughest times.
And that example with the scholars and the eclipses.
I love that one.
Right. It shows how knowledge can help us understand, like, the biggest mysteries.
But it's not just about memorizing facts, is it?
No. It's about wisdom, virtue, using what you know to make the world better.
So connecting knowledge to action, making a positive impact.
That's it. And that connects back to dharma, doing what's right.
Right. It all comes full circle.
It does. When we act according to our values, we create a more harmonious world.
It's like those ripples we were talking about.
Exactly. Positive actions spread outward. They affect everyone.
Man, it's been a trip diving into Chanakya Neeti.
It has so many ideas.
Love, happiness, dharma, karma, education, leadership. We covered it all.
We did. But what really sticks with me, it's that emphasis on knowing yourself and owning your actions.
Right, taking responsibility.
Exactly. Chanakya reminds us we're not just passengers in life.
Yeah.
We have the power to choose, to create our own path.
To make it different.
To make a difference, exactly. And those choices matter.
They do. They have consequences, good and bad.
But with wisdom, being able to see clearly and sticking to our values, we can handle all that and create a life that means something.
A life with purpose.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Chanakya Neeti, what stuck with you? What are you going to take away from all this?
How are we going to use these ancient teachings to make your own life and the world a little bit better?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And hey, maybe this will inspire you to explore other ancient wisdom too.
There's so much out there.
Timeless truths waiting to be discovered.
Keep learning, keep growing.
And keep seeking wisdom wherever you can find it.
Until next time.